Hello, hello. What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of Donkey Jaw Projects, and this is the first ever episode of Indie Comics Highlights, which is a new series with myself and Mr. Robert Johnston. How you doing, Robert?
I'm good. How are you, Marshall?
Doing pretty good. And you guys know
Happy Saturday.
what's that? Happy Saturday. Do you hear me still? Oh, we're having technical difficulties today.
Um, it appears I am still having internet issues. I didn't hear you, what you just said a moment ago.
Do you hear me now?
I do. I hear you
Okay.
now. I'll type in the thing when I'm off or when I can't
Okay.
hear you.
So, if you guys want to check out where Robert's from and, my links as well, we have all the links down in the description. But today we're going to be talking about GOGOR, a comic that is from Image Comics by uh, what is it? His sorry, Ken Garing. And you can see the front cover here. Robert is screen sharing, and we Robert and I wanted to do some kind of video collaboration together, and we decided that it would be kind of fun to share some indie comics and read them and kind of review them, or not really on a judging basis, but more just kind of sharing stuff that we like. Um, and the first one we picked was Gogor. What basically happened was um, I saw this cover. Do you hear me now, Rob?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Can you scroll down a little bit so we could see the full cover? So I saw this cover, and I saw it online. I was immediately like, this looks like something I need to read. Some kind of giant underground hiding and some kind of adventure type of world. I was like, this looks really cool. So I asked Rob if he wanted to check this out with me, and he did. And so we're gonna go through it a little bit. On your initial thoughts, what were your initial thoughts as you read the first issue or two, Rob?
Well, I like the speaking of the cover, I like the way the hatching was done here. It reminded me a lot of Kerry Gamble and like earlier Superman
Hmm.
comics. The way that they used to illustrate, like Jerry Ordway and just you take your pick. Any of those 80s, 90s Superman artists. This is kind of a lot like that to me. And so that's why initially I liked it. But then when I opened up the book, I was just blown away by the by all the detail and all the just the beautiful art.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I really liked the art, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you want, you could kind of scroll through some of the pages, maybe some of the first pages, but I felt like the art has a simplicity to it, but which is really cool actually, and it lends to some really great storytelling. This guy is obviously
Yeah, definitely.
been
I
around.
get what you're saying about the less is more.
Yeah, for sure. And he's this guy Ken Garing. He, as you can see here, he created, wrote it, drew it, colored it. He did everything, he even lettered it. Um, and he's obviously knows what he's doing. Like, I don't know much about what he's done. I know that he did another comic called Planetoid, I think also by Image Comics.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely curious to check that out.
I actually
Uh,
have the first issue on that one.
oh, really? Did you read it?
Sadly, I have not.
Not read it yet. Okay, that's all right. But I definitely, maybe we can come back to that one day and read that one too.
Sure.
But definitely want to check that out. And what struck me a lot was, it's kind of cool. It's like a little fantasy story, and highly imaginative and great storytelling. Um, there's just all kinds of creatures, characters. There's definitely a lore in this. It reminds me of kind of like Labyrinth, like the movie The Labyrinth, or like the Never-Ending Story, or even something like Star Wars, like the depth of the world. It's just a really cool world to kind of hang out in. So, Rob's telling me I might have to do most of the talking. Yeah, it's weird. There's been audio issues sometimes when doing these live streams. Seems like on Saturdays. Every time I try to do one on Saturday these days.
Really?
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I had the same problem with when I tried to do a video with I'm drawing a blank today a lot with the animal.
Mm.
And so, anyways, yeah, I don't know. I thought that it was a very imaginative like story, and it reminds me of really cool worlds uh, that have been built up. Um, yeah, I
It
don't know.
it kind of almost reminds me of like a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. I mean, look at these bad guys here. You know,
Yeah,
their,
absolutely.
their suits and
Yeah,
these
they have.
large creatures. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really cool, and like I said too, it's like I really love like the lore of it. Like there's you can tell that Ken put a lot of thought into how the world is built, but he didn't focus on it like he focused on it like a good amount, like where there is some exposition here and there through dialogue and through situation, but it's not the kind of exposition where you're like drowning in exposition and you're not having fun. It starts right off with action, which I really appreciate. I like when comics start and move and really kind of hit you in the face right away. And you get into the adventure.
Yeah, it sort of allows you to just watch what's going on. You don't even end up thinking about it. You just enjoy it.
Absolutely. And you could see here he's showing like this is the world he's created. It's like a circle of floating islands, and it's really cool. And I love how they revealed it too, because you don't know that at first, and then it hits you with like a double page spread like that, and you're like, whoa.
Mhm. And all
So
these little pieces of land are what all the stories take place on.
yeah. And they go to the different pieces, and they're all kind of like little countries in and of themselves, and they have different creatures and different populations and stuff.
It's pretty
Def-
unique.
Definitely, it reminds me too of Jake Parker. Kind of did a similar thing where with what is it, Sky something, Skyheart, right? I think is the name of it. um, and it's kind of a world, but there's like islands that kind of surround it and stuff. It's interesting. And you can see here too with the pages, these pages in particular, you see this thing throughout. It's like it's definitely a very action oriented adventure story, but you see these moments where it's just quiet moments and stuff. And I like that he takes the time to do that. It reminds me of J.R.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. He's talked about that before, where he really enjoys creating a world where people can feel like they want to hang out there, and it slows the storytelling down so you can really catch what's going on.
And look at the detail. I mean, it's look at the clouds, how easy it is to absorb that content. You know what I mean? It's just a simple white uh, cloud bank there, and then you got a simple sky coloring, and it just really helps you focus on the storytelling.
Yeah, he doesn't go he puts in plenty of background, but it's not overwhelming, and you're not
Mhm.
lost, um, kind of distracted by it or anything. It's really cool. I definitely enjoyed it. Now, uh, Rob, you read the first what, 3 issues, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
first three,
Um, or first two. Okay, cool.
first three, I think.
Okay. And I hadn't read them until today. I took some time to read the full 5 issues because it's been a long time. We've been planning.
Still got to read this one.
Yeah. Actually, if you flip to the back to the letters page, check that out. Like you'll see a little surprise in there. Um, but it's funny because this story just really kind of, I don't know, it just goes through a lot of different like worlds.
Wow,
Like
is that you, Marshall Lee, in there? You got your letter printed into the back of this book.
Yeah, in the first, I think first issue, he put an email. He's like a call out to do some emails or whatever, and he print the letter. And I was surprised to see that today. I was like, oh, he printed my little letter. I think that's the first time I've actually gotten a letter printed in a comic. Have you ever gotten a letter printed in a comic? I know a lot of people have stories of that. Oh, he probably doesn't hear me again. Um,
I don't know what's going on. Like I've been having this problem last week because I'm working from home, and the office we have these tele conferencing. Like these Ring Central conferencing,
mhm.
and we tried Skype, but that thing is just crazy. Um, but I've been experiencing drop calls all week. Like my internet service. So
Yeah, yeah.
good luck trying to call somebody to help sort that out. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, yeah. It's frustrating. So it looks like we have some friends in the chat. I'll just a little shout out real quick. We got Ronnie Gunter, who's been on the show. I think all these people, not everybody, but a lot of them have been on my channel. Van, illustration. Um, we have Muttman, Adam Lore. What's up, everybody? Thanks for stopping in. Um, Muttman says that's old school, having the letter page. I think that's cool. Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, I mean, I just really liked it, and another thing that's cool too is, I mean, that he's did everything in this, and it's just crazy because he really kind of sets the mood, and like he's got a command of color, which I think is really cool. Like you can even see in these bottom 3 panels, just kind of the sequence. Like you got the fish, he caught the fish, it looks alive, it's fresh and everything. You see the nighttime, and then you see the fish in the same exact angle, and it's obviously been cooked and stuff, and it's just like really cool little bits like that. And here too, like they're making food. There's a lot of parts in this comics series where they're like making or eating food, and I just love that you get to like hang out with these characters.
Yeah, I think that adds a lot to believability when you make your characters do something in the story.
Yep, absolutely. So let's see. I do have some notes. See if there's anything here. I was thinking that the character design, very distinct character design. You can see he's playing with kind of a lot of diversity, and different types of characters, different builds of the characters, and kind of mixing animals and in with like kind of imaginary beasts and things like that. Some really cool stuff. And it reminds me, oh, I put a contrast style from Bernie Wright's and Swamp Thing style. Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, the character Gogor. I don't think we've actually gotten to him yet in scrolling through, but he's kind of like a Swamp Thing character. And what happens in the story is, basically this kid is he's his like island is academia, I guess it's called, or academia, and it's being attacked, uh, and he's given a scroll and told to basically run, and keep the scroll safe. And it's the scroll of Gogor. And he runs away. He escapes. He goes to a different island, and he finds this little friend of his, with the beak, which is he's a really cool little character. And they figure out what to do with the scroll. And what happens is, like, you can even see it on the cover, like there's like a giant underground, and um, it kind of comes to life when he reads the scroll, and it becomes kind of his, like, kind of friend. And there's more to the lore of it. I don't want to ruin the story for anybody, but there's so much to why that happens, and how the relationship works between them and stuff like that. But it's pretty cool. It's really a cool story. And yeah, I don't know. So yeah, there you can see the character Gogor. It's like a monster character. He rises up from the ground. Um, and it's interesting, as I read through the full comic, there's definitely some themes in there. I can see kind of some actually political themes in there, just on kind of political philosophy, having a discussion about kind of socialism versus capitalism type of thing. Probably definitely leaning more towards in favor of kind of a socialist type of, kind of the whole, like, community based living, versus like a free market type of living, which I thought it was interesting, which, whether you I personally, don't necessarily ascribe to that kind of idea as much, but some people might. But I still found it very enjoyable. It wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like something where it turned me off. I still love the charm of the comic. And if you're into that kind of thing too, then it'll be kind of an enhanced thing, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point. This comic really makes me think a lot about Zelda, the video game, and
Mm.
it kind of makes you think it's a Hulk ripoff in a way, if you look at it and you don't look into it further. But if you do look at it, it has similarities to Swamp Thing and everything, of course. But if you do open the book and you look at it, you will enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Muttman was actually saying that too. He was saying Gogor looks like Hulk meets the Swamp Thing. And I totally agree. Like,
It's
it,
unique on its own.
yeah. And as I read it too, it also reminded me of Groot, because he doesn't say much. And
Mm.
he actually does kind of say his name throughout the series here and there, but he does talk once in a while. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I definitely love the character design. And when you start to find out, like, what this creature is and how he kind of comes out of the earth, like, there's a reason why he kind of comes out of the earth like that. And it's just really, it's cool world building. It's really interesting stuff. So let's see, check my notes again. Oh, there was, in, I think it was the first or the second book, there was, like, kind of like this bonus extra, little comic, and it showed the construction of the kid's staff. It's actually called the multi staff, and I thought that was kind of fun. There's more to it than just being a wooden staff.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I think it's in the back of maybe the second book. Um, but basically, it's just kind of like a Swiss Army knife type of situation where, I think, there's what do you call it? The when you to see far, is it like a telescope, like a little
Telescoping.
telescope? Yeah, there's like that. I think he can shoot like blow darts out of it. There was some other mechanisms in it that I thought was really cool, because you would think it's just a simple staff or whatever, but Oh, that's interesting. It's cool seeing you scroll through because I just read all this, and there's just so many interesting parts to it. It's like within 5 issues, he goes into so many different worlds, and by the end of it, I was like, how it feels like it's building up to more, and I guess Ken Garing says that for now it's finished at the five issue mark, but he had planned it to be 10 issues, and I really do hope that he's able to continue it. I think they were only able to fund through published through Image Comics 5 issues, so it's kind of ended at this point. But
I think it would be a great Netflix series.
yeah, I think it would be. I mean, it could definitely be like a new, you know, just a new either series or movie. Like I said, it reminds me of Lord of the Rings. It probably even almost as epic and as many like cool worlds, as that, or Star Wars. But it also, on a smaller level, reminds me a lot of like the Never-Ending Story and Labyrinth, and I
Oh,
could totally
definitely.
see them exploring something, through video.
The Dark Crystal. I mean, look at these characters
Yeah,
underground. You know.
yeah, those guys are cool.
Yeah.
And they like live off of the swamp. There's definitely very,
Wouldn't
definitely
that thing collapse on itself though? I mean, look at it.
suspension of of belief
Yeah.
or disbelief or whatever. It's pretty cool. There's some social commentary on there too. It seems like a lot of comics that I read these days have social commentary about cell phones, and there's definitely that towards the last few books, which is cool. It's interesting.
Muttman says, "Is Gorgo the hero of the story?" Um, I don't know. I think it's the kid, but then he controls Gogor, right? Like Gogor is his servant or something.
Yeah, Gogor. I would say it's kind of it's kind of a combination. I think you're right. It's probably the kid. Gogor is kind of a mythical creature who is kind of there for a purpose, which we don't even fully know yet after the 5 books. Um, but Ken said that he has an end in mind, and it definitely answers those questions. So I really do hope they continue for the other 5 books at some point. But yeah, I would say the kid is the monster. There's more to him, but he's less of a driving factor for the story
Mm-hmm.
um, than the kid, I guess,
He's a
is.
muscle.
Yeah, basically, the kid. What drives the story is the kid has, and I should remember his name. I just read it.
Yeah.
I'm not good with
He has
names.
a quest.
What's that? He's basically his island was taken over by like the bad guys or whatever, and he wants to go back to help his friends, but but Gogor kind of has something else in mind. So Gogor kind of says, "Well, we're going here. I know you want to do that." Like he doesn't say all that, but he's like, "No, we're going this way, not the way you want to go." And he's like, "But I want to help my friends, but I can't help my friends without the help of Gogor." And so he's trying to get back. It kind of reminds me of Star Wars a little bit and Luke a little bit in that regard.
And you can't really tell him no, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of hard to say no to a big monster like that. That's funny. Um, Van Illustration says, "Is here, let me put it up actually. Clay, his name, if anybody doesn't know, Van Illustration is Clay. He's got a really cool YouTube channel as well, and a buddy of the channel for sure of me. So he says, is that social commentary pretty blatant, or is it integrated well into the story? I think it's kind of built into the story. Like even those little swampy, cute little swamp creatures, like they talk about kind of living off of the land, or living from the swamp, and those who were kind of enslaved or whatever at one point in their history. Um, they became weak, but those who could still live off the swamp were still strong. So, and they had this whole thing, the swamp gives us life or something like that. So even in that, there's hints towards it. I mean, if I was a kid reading this, I wouldn't even notice the themes. I just think it was a cool adventure story. Being a grown up, seeing politics my whole life and learning things, it's pretty obvious.
Plus,
So
I think there's blah blah, right? Author authoritarianism. I don't know. It's Saturday morning.
authoritarianism.
Yeah, authoritarianism. That's what I got out of it.
Mm,
Um, the guys in the suits chasing him around. I guess it seemed like they were in control. I haven't read as far as you have, so I don't know. But
mm.
it seemed like that's the way it was going.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see. It's kind of interesting. If you've read the Lord of the Rings books, you won't see it so much in the movie, but if you've read the books, they're when they're done with their whole quest, they go back to the Shire, and actually, there's more to it. I think they go back a couple times, but they go back to the Shire at some point, and it's been overrun, and it's become like industry is kind of invaded in, and it's not the happy place it once was, and you see something very much like that in the later issues. So yeah, it's they're definitely showing a contrast between a more communal based free style of living versus a money based free market style of living. And
There's always going to be that line.
what's that?
It's what all good sci-fi is built on.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of sci-fi and fantasy does that. It's kind of, I mean, isn't sci-fi and fantasy are such cool ways to kind of explore and discuss those kind of things, in a way that isn't blatant and doesn't have you pointing at specific people in real life. So, one thing that we meant to do and that we were planning to do with all of this was we wanted to do it as kind of an art stream where you watch us do some art, and through that, we did like a fan art piece of this comic, and that's what we were going to do for all the comics. But it took us forever to get to this video, mostly because of me, because I've been wanting to, edit that and stuff. But I realized that was kind of a roadblock. So we did do some fan art, but um, we decided that instead we're going to obviously showcase the actual comic. We want to showcase that so you can go ahead and check it out, read it. You can actually read this comic for the first issue for free on imagecomics.com. There's links in the description. And it's a 5-issue series. And if you want to read more, of course, there's a link of where you can buy it on Image Comics as well. But we did do some fan art. Did you want to show them some of that?
Here it is.
So what we did, it was kind of fun. We decided in this go around to have Rob ended up penciling it, and then I inked it and colored it. So show them your pencils and like the stages.
Okay.
And I thought this was really fun. Like I don't know if I've ever inked someone else's artwork before. I did do it digitally, uh, and then I had fun. This was when I first got the Debaser. I think it's, well, yeah, Debaser from True Grit. It's like a pretty cool. I don't know what you even call it. It's like a tool set to use specifically in Procreate, but I found out you can actually use it in Clip Studio as well. But it helps you to make stuff look like it's like an old comic or whatever on newsprint, and it's even got like the dot tones and stuff like that. Um, but it looks like this is the pencils you did, right?
Yeah.
Which I
Just
thought were really cool.
real light. I mainly just focused on GOGOR a little bit
Hmm.
and just some shapes.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was so fun to ink over it. And then the coloring was pretty cool too. So yeah, so we did that. So we'll probably unveil like some kind of fan art. Maybe it'll just be we each do our own thing, or maybe we'll collab again. We'll see. But we're gonna mostly showcase the art and the actual creator's work in this. And so for the next episode, we have another comic that we're gonna be checking out, and hopefully it'll come soon. I don't know exactly how often we'll do these, maybe bi-weekly or monthly or something like that is what I'm kind of thinking. But Rob, let them know what the book we're going to be doing next week, because I think it'll be cool if you guys want to read along with us, and maybe you could even do fan art and send it to us or something, and we could showcase that. That would be kind of fun.
This is the
You
book
know,
right here.
Lucy Dreaming. It
Boom
looks really
Studios.
cool, by Boom Studios. And it'll always be an indie comic of some sort, because we really want to highlight other creators, and I think reading comics, the people who watch these videos usually are people who make comics, but we need some place to have some inspiration, and I want to pass on some cool stuff that we find, and it's kind of like almost like a virtual book club. I think it'll be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to this. I can already tell I love the art.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So that's what we'll be reading. If you want to kind of read along with us, you could either, digitally, maybe I think you can get this one digitally, or try to see if you can find it in your comic stores. I think this one's a 5-issue series. We may or may not read the full thing, but at least the first issue or 2 issues or something we'll get to, and see what we think about it.
Very cool.
Awesome. So with that, I don't want to belabor this too long. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Rob, where can people find you? There's links below, but Rob, where can people find you?
Well, I'm R Johnston Art on Facebook, and Twitter, and I'm on my Instagram as well. And on there, you have a Linktree link in my bio that takes you to everywhere else I go to that I have.
Awesome. And you have a YouTube channel, which is really cool. He's got a lot of great videos on there. And you make some pretty cool comics yourself. So I would say definitely go over to his website and check that
Did you
stuff out.
did you guys hear that? Here's where my Linktree is on my
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah. Absolutely. So definitely check out Rob's stuff. I don't know if he can hear if you can hear me, but you guys know where to find me. There's links below, donkeydrawprojects.com and Marsh Comics on Instagram and Twitter. And hopefully next time we won't have these audio issues so much. But
Yeah.
with that, thank you again for watching. All the links are below, and we'll talk to you on the next one.